Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the March 5th, 2026 Washoe County Board of Adjustment meeting to order. May we please have a determination of quorum?
Peter Gashon,
Present.
Rob Pierce,
Present.
Kathy Julian, present. Patrick Caldwell appears to be absent. Leo Harishny,
Present.
we have a quorum.
Thank you. If you would all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. May we please have the ethics law announcement?
Board members are reminded that if, with respect to any matter or any person coming before the board today, you have received a gift or a loan, you have a pecuniary interest, you have a commitment in a private capacity, such as a family, employment, or business or similar relationship, or you provided representation or counseling before an agency to a person or entity for compensation within the last year on a matter being considered, you must disclose that gift, loan, interest, commitment, or prior representation at the time the matter is being considered. And you must furthermore abstain from deliberation or voting on the matter if it is clear that that gift, loan, interest, commitment, or prior representation would materially affect the independence of judgment of a reasonable person. Board members are also reminded that under the Board of Adjustment rules, if you had any contact outside this meeting with any persons interested in a matter coming before the board today, you should disclose the nature of that contact at this meeting.
Thank you. The appeal procedure, please, Mr. Lloyd.
Most decisions rendered by the Board of Adjustment are appealable to the Board of County Commissioners. If you disagree with the decision of the Board of Adjustment and qualify as an aggrieved person or party, you may appeal in writing within 10 calendar days from the date that the decision being appealed is reduced to writing, filed with the Secretary of the Board of Adjustment, and mailed to the original applicant in the proceeding being appealed in accordance with Washoe County Code. Please call the planning staff immediately at 775-328-6100 for information on the appeal procedure and the application fee.
Thank you. Do we have any general public comment?
There is no general public comment in chambers or via Zoom, and let the record show that Patrick Caldwell, member, has joined us at 1:33. Pat, if you could please test your audio.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you, Pat.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay,
Thank you.
Now to today's agenda. There has been one change by mutual agreement. The county and an applicant for item 8B have agreed to postpone this matter. With that, do I have a motion for today's agenda?
This is Rob. I make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Thank you.
Approved. All right, second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed say nay. Okay, motion passes. Now, as to the February 5th, 2026 draft minutes, has everyone read those? Any comments, changes, concerns? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
This is Rob. I move to approve as written.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes. We'll now move on to the public hearing. First item, 8A, variance case number WPVAR 25-006. Mr. Lloyd?
Yes, for hearing, discussion, and possible action to approve a variance for a side yard setback from 8 feet to 1 foot 5 inches for the installation of a funicular track at 552 Ganawabi Road in Crystal Bay. Representing Washoe County in this matter is planner Julie Olander.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Good afternoon, Julie Olander for the record. So as Mr. Lloyd said, this is a variance to ask to reduce the side yard setback from 8 feet to 1 foot and 5 inches. Oops. Sorry. So here on the left, you see sort of in light blue where the parcel is located, and then on the right, it's a little closer view. And then here's the overall site plan of where the track is going to be located, and sort of the western side of the property. And then here's a closer view of that track. And here's some visuals also showing the house and where the track is going from basically Ganawabi Road all the way down to the lakefront. So the applicant is seeking this variance to reduce that side setback. And the setback is set up by the Washoe County Code. It's based on the square footage of the property. So any parcels between 1,200 square feet and 34,099.9, the setbacks are 20 feet in the front and 8 on the sides. The applicant states the majority of the track will be less than 30 inches above the grade. However, approximately 9.9 feet and 8 inches from the top down, it will be over 30 inches in height. And portions of the tracks will exceed the 18 inches above grade, and that's what calculates it as a structure. So we sort of loop the track under what the deck requirements are, and if a deck is over 18 inches in height per code, then it is considered a structure. So where this track is over 18 inches in height, it is considered a structure. The proposed track will extend from the main living area down to the shoreline, like I said earlier. And the applicant did look at some alternative locations. However, the site is limited with slope and the location of the existing two-story, 2,224 square foot residence, and then the 554 square foot garage. The proposed location of the track will limit the impacts minimally by only elevating the track above ground and only grading certain portions. So it limits the grading and it limits the elevation requirement because of the location. And here are some other locations. So the orange is where they are proposing to put it, but they did look at some other locations. The cart height will be below the elevation of the neighboring property's windows, preserving their views and privacy, and will only be visible from the lake when the cart is parked down there. The cart machinery is located at the top of the track, and according to the applicant, the noise generated will be approximately 45.4 decibels, which is considered quiet to moderate in noise level. And then like a normal conversation is typically 60 to 65 decibels. The tram will generate less noise than created, according to the applicant, will create less noise than created when people are unloading a car in a driveway. And here's some visuals of what the cart will look like. So to grant a variance, as many of you know, is a little cumbersome. Nevada state revised state statutes has specific requirements for variances, and they include exceptional narrowness, shallowness, shape, or specific piece of the property. 2 is by reason of exceptional topography conditions, or 3 is extraordinary or exceptional situations. So looking at the property, it doesn't really meet the narrowness. It's not considered narrow. For this parcel, the requirement is that it's 60 feet wide, and this parcel is about 92 to 94 feet wide. However, it does have exceptional topography. According to the applicant, from the garage driveway level to the rear of the garage, the grade goes from 6,301 degree to 6,250 degrees, and then in a span of approximately 25 feet with a resulting slope of 76%. From the rear of the garage to the end of the funicular run, the slope drops from 6,301% degrees to 6,250 degrees, which in approximately 150 feet, resulting in a 44% slope for the majority of the run. I know I didn't read that very well and it's a little complicated, but you can understand that they have quite a bit of slope there. So under the extraordinary exceptional situations, the applicant contends that there is extraordinary and exceptional situations. The slope of the parcel is particularly steep, as I stated. It's above an average slope of 50%, and the path of the shoreline is difficult. And according to the applicant, the steepness and length of the path is impractical for regular use. The application also indicates that the owners are aging and the path is not safe, and the funicular will provide safe and easy access to the lake. Staff finds the applicant has demonstrated the subject property exhibits one or more of the criteria needed to make the first findings for special circumstances as required by NRS, and recommends approval of the variance. 38 parcels were noticed. I have received some phone calls from the neighboring property, and then we've also gotten some emails that I forwarded to you. Just want to make note that no neighborhood meeting was required for this variance. Various agencies have reviewed the application, and their comments are included in Exhibit A, and those with conditions are included in the conditions of approval. I should say their comments are in condition Exhibit B. So these are the requirements for a variance. Special circumstances, no detriment, no special privileges, and uses authorized. Oops. So here's a possible motion. The applicant's representative, I believe, is available on the phone, and I do think they have a presentation.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for staff at this time? Julie, if I could ask, why no neighborhood meeting required for this?
I can
I'll let
answer that
Mr.
question.
Lloyd explain that.
Yeah, if you look at the direction, the requirements for a neighborhood meeting, variances are left out. Typically, it involves one or two neighbors. It's not something that would generally impact an entire neighborhood, and for that reason, we don't require a neighborhood meeting.
Kathy Julian, for the record. Another query would be, of staff, would be TRPA was not required for review of this, or were they?
I'm not familiar with TRPA's requirements for a track. I would think they would have some voice, at least at the building permit stage. They were not involved in this variance, though, and I did not get comments back from them.
And my understanding is that this will also be required, it will require approval from TRPA.
Okay. If nothing further from staff, is the applicant present, and do they wish to make a presentation?
I don't have anything to add.
So please state your name for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry, David Marcotte. I'm the owner of the subject property. I've written some here, but I just thought it would fill in the gaps and do a, kind of a summary of the request. But it was done so well that I have nothing further to add. So I'm finished. But my architect is available, and he could probably answer those questions about TRPA, because we did contact them and we did have some review with them and discussions. The details of those discussions, he would know better.
Okay. Is the architect present and wish to make a presentation?
It's Elise.
Elise Fett.
Sent you a,
Okay. If the applicant representative or engineer is online, if you would please raise your hand at this time.
they sent you an app.
Okay, presentation is coming up. I see a Kelly with the hand raised. Are you with the applicant?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. If you'll please state your first and last name once the presentation starts.
You want me to sit down?
You can sit back down.
My name is Kelly Martinson. I'm the representative for Elise Fenton Associates. And we did the submittal for Mr. Marcotte. To answer the question about TRPA, we did have a pre-design meeting with them, and their main concerns up front were just that we would be able to account for the coverage, which is standard for most TRPA projects. Then we will need a visual review where they have us do certain calculations from views from the lake and how it impacts the view there. So we will have that. Was there any follow-up questions for TRPA on that?
Kathy Julian, for the record. So the main concern of TRPA would be on the issue of coverage and on the issue of the visual impact from the lake, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and they will look at this after a decision by the Board of Adjustment?
Correct, yes. Standard with most of the projects we've done, we'll need to, whether or not the variance is granted and we can move forward, we'll prepare the plans as needed for the TRPA review. And then we get the approval from TRPA prior to the Washoe County Building Department permit review process.
Okay. And if you're an appropriate person to ask on this, what is the amount of, I guess, coverage of foliage and along that stretch where it will run? Because I think the pictures that we've seen may be dated in terms of the Google pictures, because according to one of the neighbors, some foliage has been cut and removed for fire reasons. So is this a bare stretch of the going down the slope, or are there trees and bushes along there?
We are not planning for any trees to be removed. Mr. Marcotte might have a little bit more input on what he actually can see currently when he's there at his residence, but it's more low-lying vegetation. And as far as the TRPA coverage, what they look for primarily is hard surfaces, as far as like the actual footprint of the residence or paving for the Ganawabi Road that goes through, or driveway. There is the vegetation concern, and that comes more into the visual, which we do plan on screening as much as possible to not cause any problems, obviously, with the function of the lift, but also to make sure we're within the defensible space clearing, which that was one of the items that has been mentioned a few times, is just how you do have to have defensible space for all of the residences for the safety of the neighborhood.
Thank you.
And do you have a presentation as well?
Yes, it has been, it looks like up on the screen. We've been kind of using it a little bit as we went along with that discussion. But yes, just wanted to kind of touch on some of the concerns that some of the neighbors may have. And also to thank Julie for her presentation, similar to Mr. Marcotte did. Just, she was pretty in depth on this one. But the reason we're looking for the funicular is for the steepness of the lot and some of the concerns from the homeowners as they age. Some of the concerns that the neighbor had that we wanted to address, though, would be the visibility of this. And if you go to the next slide, you can see from the roadway, it's actually going to load back behind. There's the existing bare bin for trash, the gas meter enclosure, and then that lower wall with the railing. So it'll kind of already be hidden as cars drive by. And the Ganawabi, if you're not familiar, is a one-way road. So you come, basically you'd be looking out the passenger window right now as you go up the road. So that existing tree there on the right, closer to the camera, would block a lot of this. So you kind of have to almost be looking a little more over your shoulder as you went by to even see this from the road. And then the neighbor directly out of his windows would have, you know, a little more visual of this, but you can kind of see, I believe it's in the next slide, that as the cart goes down, there's kind of our 3D drawing there on the right, and then on the left is the actual view from the owner's property, Mr. Marcotte, looking at the neighbor's residence. But on the right, you can see where the cart would start kind of on the right up high there, and then it'll drop down considerably steep slope and be about 5 feet from where a occupant's eye level would be under these windows that are more of concern. So they would get a little bit of a visual depending on where they are looking out the windows, or the occupant of the cart looking at the house, but it drops quickly down below and the angle isn't exactly the best for, you know, I guess staring in somebody's window or however the concern would be there. Also, the cart moves per the manufacturer at approximately 60 feet per minute. So it's going to be a very short time frame that this would be even in the area of the residence before it gets further down the hill and much lower than the residence. The next item that was concerned was over the noise, which Julie covered. Per the manufacturer, at about 15 feet, you're only at 45 decibels, give or take. And an average conversation is considered 60 to 65 decibels. So where the occupants would be loading is close to the driveway and where people can stand right now. So we don't feel that there would be much of a change as far as any noise. And the neighbors' windows are fixed. At least they appear to be fixed, so they can't necessarily even be open to allow more noise to come in. Then the other thing was whether or not there was any alternate locations, which again, Julie covered for us. Some of the alternate locations that we looked at were off the opposite side of the residence, but you can see in this picture of the structure, there's some horizontal beams that limit drastically the clearance of being able to come out from underneath those. And if we started looking at any excavation, which then gets into TRPA concerns, and also foundations for these columns where there could be some large issues on whether or not we could even excavate. So there's a lot of structural limitations. The primary alternate location was more on the left there, closer to the neighbor's residence, but down further. And the big concern with that, other than the structure previously mentioned, is there are about 30 existing stairs to get down to those landings. There's kind of some cross walkways that go back and forth, and then these stairs. So it really would limit the useful distance of the funicular by about 40%, just based on how much you would have to move down the hillside, plus adding all of these new stairs and additional pathways. So that kind of limited our alternate locations being useful. And that pretty much covers most of the concerns. This is another view, a couple more views of those pathways underneath the house that are existing that would still have to be traversed to use an alternate location.
Okay, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
Yes, this is Pat. Sorry, Rob. Go ahead.
No, it was Leo. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Leo.
Go ahead. You're good.
Okay, thank you. This is Pat Calder for the record. I'd have a couple questions. What is the distance between the funicular cart and the neighboring property?
The property line, it's roughly about a foot from the funicular cart to the property line.
But the actual physical residence?
The physical residence, let me just see real quick. I have the drawings. It looks like at the closest point, we are about 9 feet at the very top where the cart would sit. But then it angles away. The residence has an angle away from the property line. It's not parallel with the property line.
Okay, and this is Pat Calder for the record. One additional question would be that, are you going to limit the hours of operation to daytime or early evening, or how will that work?
I believe that would be more of a question for the owner there that's in attendance. If you had any thoughts on when they would be using this more.
It's kind of, in fact, we're going to hardly use this. We are putting in a pier, a joint with the neighboring property. So to get to our, to get to the water and canoes and boat, we'll be using it during the day. But so I would say that the hours are just going to be inherent of reasonable. There was one comment by my neighbor that we have a lot of people over. This house, we don't use that much. Not that that's an argument to get the variance, which it isn't. But to answer your question on the hours, I think that it's just, it's not like this is going to be used by the public and we have buses of people coming up. Basically, it's just my wife and I and my son. I did want to add one comment, two comments actually. In regards to my neighbor's house, it's built out of CMU, which is, a filled concrete block. So with that, and then the interior side of the drywall, that's about a 9.5-inch wall. So just a clarification, a little bit of added information on that. The other thing is that my wife, and this makes it even more important for us, is she has scoliosis of the spine, curvature of the spine. It's not an uncommon condition, but it is a condition. And she also has chronic feet problems. So this is more of a motivation for us to to put the cart in a place that we don't have to use stairs, and we can access the shoreline. Any questions or?
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Pat Caldwell for the record. I have one more question. Will there, and thank you for that information, I appreciate it. Will there be any lights on the structure down through the track or that will?
No, there's no plans for that, and I don't even think that would be acceptable to DRPA for their visual guidelines. Then again, I could be wrong on that, but we have no intention to put lights on that track.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good.
Any further questions?
Leo Habrishny. I have a question for the owner, and that's fine. And if we could go back to the presentation from the architect and that one picture of the location with the bear box at the top. Thank you.
Just a reminder to state your name for the record before you speak.
Oh, David Marcotte.
Thank you. That's it. So that is the garage that we're looking at. So I just want to be clear that I appreciate the fact with your wife's physical limitations that the access point from the stairs below the house is not considered ideal. But so as you're putting this there, the plan is that you and anyone using it will be going in and out through the garage at the top down?
That's correct. Behind the garage is the house, and there's a laundry room from the garage, and then there's the kitchen and the main living area. So in all practicality, aside from the stairs issue, it's the perfect place to put it, because we walk right out of the kitchen, through the laundry room, out to the garage.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay, do we have any public comment?
I have Stephen Kroll in Chambers.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Stephen Kroll, and I appreciate the opportunity to express my deep concern with this. It would be a profound problem for me if this goes in. You will have noticed the closeness of our two buildings. If this goes from a setback of 8 feet, which the legislatures have set as being the fair and proper amount, and which you are here and we are here to enforce, basically. If this is allowed to go, it takes up, instead of 8 feet, 1.5 inches, and even that is not correct. It actually is a little more, which means that the entire setback is removed, the setback protections. And I invoke those setback protections and hope that this body will appreciate that if this is allowed to go through, the visibility, take a look at those photographs. The visibility is complete, that there is no protection there. I was forced to cut down the trees and the bushes that I had next to my house because I wouldn't have been able to get insurance otherwise. So consequently, there is no way to protect the visibility of this track. And as far as the sound is concerned, these are people who I appreciate knowing that it's basically only the family, but they do have friends, and we're very close in terms of the locations of our two houses. And I would point out that if this is allowed, that basically erases my ability to take advantage of my side of the setback. the effect of granting this, which would be the full 8-foot setback erased, is to erase my ability, should I want to put which won't happen, but I'm just giving you an example of the use here. I have lived in this house for almost 50 years. It's my dream house. I'm a solo person, except for my dog, and I treasure my quiet, my privacy, which would be erased by this, because I have 2 windows and a main bedroom right next to this. And it takes away the very thing that I've appreciated for all these years. I mean, I have to, in 10 days, I'll be 86 years old. And so these are my final years. And I intend to die in this house. This is my, I've been an
Thank you.
adventurer. Am I out of time?
You're out of time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any additional public comment?
That concludes public comment in chambers, and there are no hands raised via Zoom.
Okay, let's bring it back to the board for thoughts.
Hey, Julie, this is Rob. For record, I got a question. So, can you hear me with this thing on? It's hard to see. I think. So, sorry about that.
It's too far away. It's on.
All right, I just can't see the light. There we go. So on this setback, right, is it going to take up the whole entire thing? I mean, are we looking at like a building to take up the whole entire setback, or are we just looking at a post? It's kind of a support mechanism.
I'm Julie Land for the record. I mean, my understanding is the track. You could talk to the applicant representative, maybe Kelly could give you further information. My understanding is it's just the track. And I think that the cart doesn't go very far off of the track. It may be an inch or two.
Okay.
But that's my understanding, but the applicant's representative could
And
probably.
then the cart is going to be 30 feet in the air?
No, the track.
The track will be
The track-
30 feet in the air, and the cart will sit on top of
Yeah,
it.
the track, there's a few places where it exceeds the 30 inches of height. So that's, at least the application expressed that. So for about 10 feet, it's going to be higher than 30 feet. But as the applicant representative indicated, that's a pretty steep hill. So when it's going down, I'm not sure exactly how high it would be with the slope involved. Would you really see it, or how it would be visually, aware, how you could see it?
I'm just trying to picture in my mind how much of that space between the neighbors is actually going to be used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just trying to picture it in my mind. It seems to me like there's going to be some support pillars, and then there's going to be a track, and there's going to be a cart sitting on top. So although the space between the houses may be used, it's only being used in a small fashion.
Right. We would allow them to put a 6-foot fence along there if it wasn't on the property line. That would be allowed. So they could have a 6-foot fence there. Obviously, that slope is too steep, and there's no need for a fence either. So they wouldn't be able to have that. So you can maybe, I don't know if they're going to be above 6 feet with that cart on top of it. Maybe with people standing on it, standing in the cart, it might be over 6 feet in height.
Okay.
But I would ask Kelly to explain further if you have any further questions.
And then for a point of reference, you and I talking right now, it's probably about 65 decibels. So it's.
Right. Now,
So-
people can be loud, and so
It
that
can
can be challenging, people, my understanding is the residents are not full-time, they don't live there full-time.
Right.
So it's used as a
That's what
vacation
he-
home.
That's what he mentioned. Yeah, he's only there part-time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Kathy Julian, for the record, can I get clarification on, you've got the property line, so the track itself, irrespective of the cart, and it appeared to me the cart would extend more than, how wide is the track?
I don't know exactly the width of the track. They're asking for, a 1 foot, how many inches, so many inches for that. So that track line, the track itself should be that 1 foot in. So it would be right.
1.5 foot is
Yeah,
what I
1.5
read in there.
basically,
Is that the case, and perhaps the applicant's
representative.
can-
Yeah, they can give you a little more information.
can-
But that's my understanding. The track is going to be located there. So that's where they're asking for that variance for.
And the, I guess a query would be, why didn't they decide to move the track just, I don't know, 3 feet in and split the difference a little bit of ways in the middle of the, if we could have a response from the applicant's
I think they
representative
would
on
be better.
that.
I asked them to, they're on the line so they can answer.
Kelly, you are unmuted, so if you would just go ahead and respond.
Yes, this is Kelly with Elise Fenton Associates again. The track itself, to go back to that question, is approximately 3 feet wide. So it's kind of like a heavy duty ladder laying on the ground. It's got some C channels on the sides that help guide the rollers, and then it's got some supports that run in between to help maintain the integrity of the rails. And they will have supports going down the hill, some columns that will go into the soil that'll be concreted or driven in, depending on what turns out to be the best as far as structural engineering. But again, it will essentially be a large ladder, you could say, for a visual laying on the ground, or about 30 inches above the ground for the most part. So 2.5 feet. The cart itself is about 4 feet wide, so it does overhang about 6 inches on each side. So to get the clearance going down the hill, in more of a straight run down, we had to still space it away from the house a little bit, as far as also safety for anybody that, as they go down past the house.
Okay, so that, Kathy Julian for the record, so with 6 inches from the edge of the track, understood why it's where it is. So you're saying that there will still be 1.5 feet from the property line after the cart space, or not? How many feet from the property line or inches will the cart itself be from the property line?
This is Kelly again. The cart itself from the property line is just under a foot.
Okay, thank you.
This is Rob for the record. I just want everybody to know that I support this project. I don't think it's going to, in my mind, in my opinion, create any issues. It's a temporary thing. It's going to be moving up and down, and most of the time it's going to be sitting still. So anyways, the way it's written, I support it.
Thank you. Yeah.
No useful.
This is Pat Calder for the record. I have a question, actually. What's the distance between the cart and the actual the owner of the cart's home?
This is Kelly again. The distance is approximately 1.5 feet.
So it's about 1.5 feet from the property line and 1.5 feet from the home, roughly, the edge of the carts.
Yes.
This is Peter Gishon for the record. So does that mean to say that the house already encroaches within the setback?
Correct. It does, and I believe there were...
The math tells us that we're already encroaching into the setback.
Yes, just Pat Caldwell. Thank you, Peter. That's what I was wondering.
This is Kelly again. Yes, the existing house does encroach in the setback, and I honestly do not know. Maybe Trevor might have some more guidance of the setbacks back when the residence was built.
Well, this is Pat Caldwell for the record. I guess question would be, was there a variance back then, or an approval for a setback?
This is Julie Olander for the record. So this is Ganawami. If you look at the houses, they're all a little off. So I would not, the front setbacks are not always right on any of the other sides. So if you look at this property, can you bring up that vicinity map again? Yeah.
Yeah, so this is Peter Gishon. Trevor, the house was built in 1982. Did that 8-foot setback exist back then? Do we know?
It's not only the setbacks on Ganawabi, I think, it's also that they weren't required to do a certification on the setbacks. So they went off of what property lines were set up at that point. So it doesn't even matter if the setbacks were 8, but it's also how those lots were divided at the time, is my understanding. So if you look, this doesn't show very well. I don't know, we can't zoom in very closer, but I know it's just hard to see visually. But I mean, a lot of these houses are very close to the street too, Ganawabi. So even that is, so the variance, I understood, anything on Ganawabi, it's very unusual if Ganawabi has any properties that meet their setbacks.
I don't have that detailed information in front of me. Julie is right. The county has issued significant number of variances along Ganawabi. It's a highly constrained number of properties up and down Ganawabi. It's very likely that that took place back in the early 80s, but we would have to do a full records request to track that information down.
Okay. Yeah, this is Peter Kishon for the record. Again, I mean, when we have to look at the findings, special circumstances, yes, there is narrowness and topography. No detriment. Again, empathetic to Mr. Kroll's concerns, but I think this does not create a substantial detriment to the public good. There's not a special privilege because of the topography. Someone else with a similar circumstance could request the same. The use is authorized, and there's obviously no effect on a military installation. So ultimately, I would be supportive, especially given how wonky the property lines are in this Ganawabi area.
This is Pat Calder for the record. I have another question. So the current access down, and looking at some of the photos, is via stairs down to the water line?
This is Julie Olander for the record. Yes, that's my understanding, is the way that most of these properties access the water, get down to the shoreline, is through stairs.
So this is Pat Calder for the record. I mean, I can appreciate that the fact that the applicant may have some limiting medical issues to access the property, but is the real solution really to put a funicular so that they can have access and that it potentially impedes on a gentleman who lives there for full time for 45 years? But that's okay?
This is Peter Kishon. Do we have any idea how many funiculars are in Washoe County? There you go. I know there's several already, right?
Yeah, I know we've approved a handful. I don't know how many, but there are several in the county.
And Julie Olander for the record. Yeah, we have, and a lot of them, I've not had any, and maybe Mr. Lloyd knows of others that we had to do a variance. They've had the space to do it. Ganawabi, like I say, is a very challenging street, and the lots there are not set up. A lot of them don't have the setbacks or the space because of the steepness of that slope.
Yeah.
Kathy Julian for the record. My query to begin with was on, and that's why I asked about TRPA. When I looked at the Google map, I noticed that most of the properties along that stretch of Crystal Bay have walkways down to lounging areas down on the shore. And that's essentially how the people along that street enjoy the shore. And many of them have piers. And I would only assume that TRPA would have some visual requirement and would be monitoring for. It would obviously be a problem if everyone in Crystal Bay decided that they were going to turn their coastline into Disneyland with funiculars coming down every 50 feet or so. But I would look at TRPA to be managing that aspect of it.
Well said. Anyone else?
This is Leo Rishny. I guess I will make my comment is, given the extreme situation, the partial use and practicality of the device, and the idea that technically even though the houses are, especially since the house is already encroaching on the setbacks, technically the homeowner could put up a 6-foot fence all the way down to and that would be acceptable. I find a partial use visual distraction, a temporary visual distraction to be not anywhere near on the lines of a huge 6-foot board fence going down there. So that's how I view it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Pat, are you good?
I'm good. No further questions. Thank you.
Okay. If there's no further questions, I'll entertain a motion.
This is Rob. I'll make a motion. I move that after giving reason and consideration and information contained in staff report, information received during the public hearing, the Washoe County Board of Adjustments approve variance case number WPVAR 25-0006 for Renee and Margaret Mark Cody Family Trust with the conditions of approval included in Exhibit A of this matter, having made all 5 findings in accordance with Washoe County Code Development Section 110.804.25.
Thank you. We have a second?
Leo Harishny, I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, 4-1, motion carries. Thank you.
And just to follow up, as Board Member Pierce was making the motion, I did find a variance was approved. It looks like back in 1979.
Okay, thank you.
And if I could, I'll read the appeal procedure.
Please.
All right, most decisions rendered by the Board of Adjustment are appealable to the Board of County Commissioners. If you disagree with the decision of the Board of Adjustment and qualify as an aggrieved person or party, you may appeal in writing within 10 calendar days from the date the decision being appealed is reduced to writing, filed with the Secretary of the Board of Adjustment, and mailed to the original applicant in the proceeding being appealed in accordance with Washoe County Code. Please call the planning staff immediately at 775-328-6100 for information on the appeal procedure and the application fee.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Item 8C. This is case number WVIO PLA 24-0100, Belford, 300 Pa-Ra Springs. Mr. Lloyd?
Yeah, for possible action, hearing, and discussion to affirm, modify, reverse, or remand an administrative hearing officer's hearing order affirming a code enforcement violation of Washoe County Code Section 110-306-35 Sub B, outdoor storage of an RV on a vacant parcel without the required existing principal use. And representing Washoe County in this matter is Planning Manager Chad Geisinger.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Board of Adjustment members. Chad Giesinger, Planning Manager, for the record. Did you already address the matter of the continuous request? That wasn't at the beginning of the meeting.
We have not.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was the question, Chad?
Do we need to address the matter of the continuous request?
Oh, that's right. And so before the board is also a request by the appellant to postpone or continue this item to a future hearing. And so it's up to the board whether or not they choose to make that, to adhere to that request.
Okay, should we engage in a discussion or hear thoughts from staff? Chad, please address the matter of the continuance.
Sorry, Chad Giesinger, Planning Manager, for the record. My recommendation would be to move forward with this item. It's been ongoing for quite some time, and many records have been produced, and I think there's adequate information to hear this item today.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments for staff as to the continuance? Do we take a vote, Trevor, on the continuance?
My understanding, and I'll defer to our legal staff, but I believe it requires a vote of the full board.
An item can be removed, moved at any time. The chair has the ability to do so, I guess, unless it's in the board rules that it requires a vote. But I mean, for open meeting law purposes, that is the call of the chair to remove an item, If you want to postpone, that'd be, if you want to call for everyone to vote on it, you could. But I believe the chair has the discretion to do so unless
Okay.
the rules say.
I feel comfortable under the circumstances to get everyone's opinion. Rob?
This is Rob. I'd like to hear it personally, so we just get it over with once and
Okay.
for all.
Leo?
Either way.
I'd like to hear it.
Okay. Pat?
I would like to hear it.
Okay. Consensus is that we will move forward today.
Okay, thank you very much,
Go
Chair.
ahead with the
Peter?
presentation. Thank you.
Adriana? Oh, okay, thank you. So yes, this is a code enforcement violation case, WVIO PLA 24-0110, which is an appeal of administrative hearing decision. This is actually the second appeal on this item. There was a previous order, which I'll get into here in a second. First, for some background, for some of those you may not remember, it was about a year ago today that the first appeal on this violation case was heard by the Board of Adjustment after hearing order. But appeals of code enforcement penalties issued for violations are heard by a third-party hearing office run by volunteer judges or lawyers. And at those hearings, the hearing office either affirms, modifies, or dismisses the violation and fines, and at the end of the hearing issues what's called an administrative hearing order. So the item before the BOA today is an appeal of a hearing order that was confirmed on January 9th, the second penalty notice in this violation case. And per Washoe County Code Chapter 125, administrative hearing orders can be appealed to the Board of Adjustment, and that is why we are here today, because the respondent, Mr. Belfort, did appeal. Background on the property, it's located in Warm Springs at 300 Paw Springs Road in the foothills of the Paw Mountain Range in a pretty remote area. The Paws of the mountain range that kind of separate Pyramid Lake area from the Warm Springs area. It is zoned general rural agricultural, which allows one dwelling unit per 40 acres. It's a very large parcel, 104 acre undeveloped parcel with a lot of topography, very steep hillsides. There's no utilities or infrastructure on or near the property. And access to the property is via an unimproved dirt road that is not dedicated nor maintained by Washoe County. And that road stems off of Wilcox Ranch Road. And just as a note, on the dwelling unit thing, a recreational vehicle is not a legal permanent dwelling. And the violation does concern the placement of an RV and living in an RV. Here's a visual representation of where the property is located. You can see way back there in Warm Springs Valley, southeast corner there. We started getting complaints about this property beginning way back in early January 2018, and also recently complaints about what would be done moving forward since it's still ongoing. The complaints allege the owner was living in an RV and it also placed several cargo containers, and there is no well, septic, or garbage collection or a dwelling on the property. And the property therefore does not have an established principal use and is considered vacant under the development code. And storage on a vacant parcel is not allowed pursuant to 110-306-35B. Here's some visuals of the property over the last 3 years. The top left one was in May of 23. You can see aerial photography, what's been placed in the property. Then in 24, photos there showing the RVs. And then recently in November of 25, the RV there in the red circle. As I alluded to, the BOA did previously hear an appeal on this code enforcement violation case, and that was regarding the first penalty, and that was almost a year ago to the day, March 6, 2025. I did include as an attachment to the staff report for this item the background, or I mean the staff report from that previous item, and it has a very extensive background history if you feel you need to refer to that. At that hearing last year, the BOA voted unanimously to uphold the violation and ordered the respondent to remove the materials within 25 days. The respondent did not do that. Instead, they filed a series of motions with the Second Judicial Court, which were all ultimately dismissed. And then the respondent still has not complied with the BOA action order following that dismissal. So, given the continued noncompliance, staff deliberated what to do next about this violation case. And under the code, we essentially had these 5 options that I'm showing here. Disobeying a hearing order is a criminal misdemeanor offense, so that would be the natural thing to do. So that's number 1 there, issue a misdemeanor criminal citation. Second option, issue additional penalty notices. Third would be to record a notice of violation, and what that is it basically memorializes the violation at the recorder's office, and it attaches it to the deed until it's resolved, and then code enforcement has to agree to remove that type of lien. Another option is to simply send unpaid fines to the collections office, and then the final option there, conduct abatement, which basically would mean forcefully resolving the violation. And I did want to point out all of those actions can be pursued concurrently, and they may be cumulative. So we could do all of those, we could do one of those, we could do it all at the same time. So as I mentioned, it is a serious matter when you provide a due process and an order is not followed, and it does warrant the issuance of a criminal citation. But that is at the discretion of code enforcement, and under this circumstance, we felt that was, just as a practical matter, probably not the best way to move forward. First of all, we'd probably have to get a warrant to enter the property to issue the citation because it has to be issued in person. And even if we were successful at prosecuting that case, it would result in a fine, potentially jail time. That's very unlikely, but it wouldn't necessarily result in solving the violation. And I did want to point out, because this comes up in other cases we have with RV living, the code enforcement has no ability to evict people from the property. So if we were to conduct abatement, which was that fifth option, it could result in the removal of some of the car containers and all the other items. We wouldn't be able to remove the RV with somebody living in it because that would require eviction. So what we did decide to do is issue a second penalty notice and also the notice of intent to record the violation. You have to provide in writing a notice of intent to do that. And so when we issued the second penalty and included that notice of intent, and so we were able to then, after 14 days, record a notice of violation, and that has occurred. However, the downside of issuing additional penalties is that it reopens the due process all over again. So basically, the next circle in the process. So the owner did appeal that second penalty notice, and then another administrative hearing was held. And after a quite lengthy hearing, the hearing officer did rule against the respondent and ordered the respondent to remove all the items within 30 days and pay a $250 fine. The respondent then appealed that order to the Board of Adjustment, which is the subject of this agenda item. So just to give you the full language of the section of code that's being violated, it's 110-306-35B, and you can see there, no outdoor storage without an existing principal use. So accessory items cannot be placed on the property until a principal use is established. There is an exception which has already been utilized by this owner. If there's an active building permit for a dwelling, and that was the situation for many years, but the time period for being able to do that has now passed. So simply obtaining another building permit for another dwelling would not be a viable compliance remedy because they've already exceeded the 37 months that's allowed. And that 37 is actually even after an 18-month extension. Typically, it's 18 months out of the gate to construct the home, and then you could get another 18. In this case, it's been there at least since 2019. And then code enforcement also has the ability to withhold approvals for any land use and structure use permits, and that has been provided in writing in the penalty notices. And so we do intend to do that. So if more permits were to be pursued on this property, we would require that the property be cleaned up first before issuance of those permits, due to the length of time that this has been going on. Providing public notice is not required as part of an administrative enforcement proceeding. The only noticing is to the parties involved, and that has occurred. I sent certified mail the notice of this hearing to the respondent, and all the due process required has been provided. There are no specific findings that the BOA is required to make on an appeal of a hearing order. However, the code, Chapter 125, does state that decisions of a hearing officer are presumed to be reasonable and lawful, and it is the burden of the appellant to persuade the board otherwise. I would ask if the board does deny the respondent's appeal that the BOA include a compliance plan similar to last time, 25 days to remove all the items. And then the last part of the process is a written order is prepared and served upon the appellant. Staff is recommending that the respondent's appeal be denied and that he be ordered to remove all the items within 25 days. And a possible motion is found on page 2 of your staff report, if you would like to refer to that. And with that, I will open it up to any questions. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Any questions for staff at this time?
Chair, if I may, Chaz Lehman for the record. I just want to clarify something about the continuance, and I just want to make sure that we have a clear record here. So a request for continuance can happen anytime before any action is taken place. So it's still not too late for a continuance. According to the rules, policies, and procedures of the board, I'm going to read it verbatim so that you guys have an understanding. It says, the board may vote to grant a continuance on an agendized item upon request of a member, the applicant, or applicant's representative. If the board decides to continue an item, the chair should ask if anyone in the audience wishes to testify on the matter, even though it may be continued to another date, time, location, and certain. So we're not too late for a continuance. However, the rules do call for a vote. So I just want to be clear and make sure that we're good on the record there.
Okay. Should we pause and take a vote there?
That's up to you. Like I said, any time before action is taken, the continuance could be granted. So we could vote and get it clear.
Okay, so the appellant has requested a continuance. We've discussed this. Let's take a vote. Do I have a motion to continue or deny the continuance?
This is Rob. I'll make a motion to hear the item that we are discussing right now, and move forward with it.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Leo Horishny, I second.
Okay, all those in favor of denying?
Oh, sorry. This is Pat Calder for the record. Can I ask one question? I mean, Chad said that if there was anybody that could present as a witness before the vote, is there anybody in the audience that, or via Zoom, that has any information that might be pertinent, or?
I think we're voting to hear the item. We're not continuing it.
Do I get input in this?
Can I ask then for a clarification what Chad said?
No, sorry, I think you mean Chaz.
Chaz,
Chaz
sorry.
Lehman for the record. There just needs to be a vote on the continuance before or after before the action item occurs. I believe we have a motion and a second on the thing for vote now.
Pat,
Okay, sorry, I misunderstood.
taking action?
Yeah, this is Pat Calder for the record. Sorry, I misunderstood. Thanks.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Okay, motion carries. We will continue. Questions for staff? So, Peter Gashon for the record. Tell me again, we are only pursuing one potential remedy at this point, even though you could have chosen 5 to pursue at one time?
That's correct, yes. Essentially, what the board is considering today is whether or not to uphold the violation, the second penalty notice that was issued and the notice of intent. Yeah, well, just the penalty notice. Yeah, that part of it.
Okay.
Yep.
And Peter Gashon for the record, one more question. I think you clarified it in your presentation, but he would be eligible for a building permit, notwithstanding the 37-month period, but you would condition that on removing everything. We can't reinstate a permit after its natural expiration.
That's correct.
Okay.
So this is Rob. I got a question following up on that. You said it needed to be cleaned up before that can happen. When you say cleaned up, can you please explain that?
Remove all the items that are illegally stored on the property. So the RV, the car containers, any building materials, basically restore it back to its natural state that it was before they started placing all those items. Then we would allow the issuance of a new building permit.
Does that mean he needs a receipt for sagebrush?
Well, no, just all the items that are stored. Yeah, the outdoor storage is the violation.
Just want to make sure that.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a grading violation or anything like that. It's just the storage.
Kathy Julian for the record. Does the staff have any concept of any damage done to the land in terms of septic disposal or burning or any other things that might happen with living out of a RV and having storage there?
Well, that is definitely a concern. Yeah, so that's why the code does have requirements to establish the dwelling and have, services provided to the property. So there's no garbage service, there's no septic system, there's no well. So they must be bringing in water. I don't know what they're doing with sewage. They must be taking it out, or I don't know. But we haven't been able to get on the property because there's no trespassing. So I couldn't tell you if there's any, open sewage on the property or not.
So is there,
Yeah.
Kathy Julian for the record, so is there an underground aquifer? Or is it possible that this occupant is in fact polluting the aquifer and the groundwater, affecting his neighbors?
I could not speak to that. I mean, it's up on a hillside, so I would assume that's not the case, but it could be. That would be an environmental health issue. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there is there's no permits issued on this land at the present time for pretty much anything, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Pat, anything for staff?
No, sorry, I have nothing.
Okay, thank you. All right. Is the appellant present and wish to make a presentation?
Before I begin, I have a safety concern I need to expose before I start my time. Seated right back here, Carl Allen Schreck. He's got a cease and desist order formally served on him, and I feel very uncomfortable and unsafe with him behind me at this proceeding. It's to stay at least 100 yards away from me. So I want that on the record for sure. And then the other members of the Schreck Family Trust here.
Okay, thank you.
Time beginning. This is to Chair Gishon, members of the board. My name is Jonathan Belfort. I'm placing several procedural and jurisdictional matters clearly on the record. These are structural concerns. They go to the integrity of the process itself. Written notice to postpone was not addressed until we came here today. I don't believe that any of this was substantially reviewed before this hearing. I previously served this board with written notice requesting postponement. That request was not acknowledged on the record. Procedural fairness requires that formal written submissions receive response or acknowledgement. I am preserving that issue. The county appeal, filing irregularities. I filed my appeal first. It was file stamped and timely. Approximately 30 days later, now this is referring to the previous appeal a year ago, almost to the day. Approximately 30 days later, I was contacted and informed of the county. The county had filed its own appeal. The copy presented to me contained no file stamp, contained no notarized acknowledgement, was not accompanied by a complete evidence packet. Procedural requirements must apply equally to all parties. The hearing before Officer Byer, jurisdiction and structural concerns. At the administrative hearing before Officer Byer, I raised formal challenges to subject matter jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is foundational. It must be established before enforcement authority is exercised. That challenge was not substantially addressed on the record. Additionally, during the hearing, the proceeding was described in a manner suggesting court-like authority. Administrative hearings are not courts' general jurisdiction. And I might also add, it was not visible on the county video, but Officer Byer stood in front of a 6-foot diameter seal of the great state of Nevada and wore a robe and was in a court chambers. So that's what you call simulated process. Administrative hearings are not courts of general jurisdiction. They operate within the limited delegated authority. Clarity regarding the scope of authority matters when jurisdiction is challenged. I also disclosed on the record that related litigation had been filed naming certain involved officials, namely Chad Geisinger, Brian Farmer, and Officer Byer. I did so not to intimidate or disrupt, but to ensure full disclosure of overlapping matters that could affect procedural posture. Despite those disclosures, the jurisdictional challenge was not ruled upon. Jurisdiction cannot be preserved or presumed. It must be established. I renew this objection here. My exhibits were not addressed. I submitted exhibits at the hearing. They were received, and also I'd like to make a point here that my exhibits 1 through 13 are not on the official county record that's available online. 1 through 13, and I believe it was exhibit 13, was the picture of approximately at the cost of $33,000 and hundreds of hours of my labor, a engineered septic system that was constructed on my property with valid permits. However, they were not substantively discussed. No clear rulings were issued on objections. The jurisdictional challenge remained unresolved, which is where we are today. When exhibits and jurisdictional objections are submitted, they require acknowledgement and ruling. Silence is not resolution. Reliance on permit extensions and COVID disruption. I obtained permits in November 2019. I was informed I had 2 extensions available. I relied on those extensions. Shortly thereafter, state of COVID emergency orders disrupted construction timelines and administrative operations for nearly 3 years. And I'm also going to add that I contracted a very severe case of COVID at a weekly meeting of Truckee Meadows Fire Rescue while volunteering as an operational firefighter. And this is what I get from Washoe County after giving 3 years of my time. That period cannot reasonably be ignored in evaluating compliance. I halted construction in good faith. This brings us to the end of the COVID, also the stay of statute of limitations that was granted by Governor Sisolak. That was almost 3 years. He ordered a stay of all statute of limitations. There was also a stay on evictions. So I just sat tight while recovering from a severe case of COVID that I acquired at a county meeting, a county function. Title issues and recorded liens. During that time, I discovered recorded liens involving Wilcox Ranch Property Owners Association and filings recorded by attorney Gail Agnes Kern. As a result, my title is clouded. And Mr. Gashan, you should know as a realtor how important clear title is. This is all just one big extenuating circumstance. Resuming construction while title and access issues, there hasn't been any road maintenance where I live, despite representations on my title to that effect. Thank you. And access issues are unresolved, financial and legally imprudent. Let me read that again. Resuming construction while title and access issues are unresolved is financially and legally imprudent. This is not defiant, it's responsible conduct. Enforcement while appeal and litigation are pending. An appeal is pending. Jurisdiction has not been formally ruled upon. Record integrity questions remain. Related litigation is pending, and as you know, there's at least 3 active lawsuits involving this matter, some of which directly involve Washoe County and its officers. Enforcement under these circumstances renders the appeal ineffective. An appeal without pause is not meaningful review. I am formally requesting a stay of enforcement pending resolution of this appeal, formal ruling on jurisdiction, confirmation of filing integrity. You'd have to ask Mr. Geisinger about that part. Clarification of overlapping litigants. Public safety and consistency. In January 9th, order requires removal of large structures. Access roads are not graded for heavy equipment. A process server recently became stuck attempting to access. Public safety standards must apply consistently. If emergency access is invoked as jurisdiction here, it must be uniformly evaluated across all developments in the same region. 0 Para Springs, directly adjacent to me, including recently approved subdivision activity near 0 Para Springs. Consistency is the issue. Uniform application of standards. The District Attorney's Office, structural neutrality. The District Attorney's Office represented the county in these proceedings. The office has also received verified submissions concerning overlapping matters. I am not making accusations. I am stating that visible independence and neutrality are essential to public confidence in this board's deliberations. Cross-questioning. I requested the response on the record with the subject matter jurisdiction formally ruled upon at the hearing. Was the subject matter jurisdiction formally ruled upon at the hearing? Does a file-stamped county appeal exist? And that does not mean go whip one up, because we've received it twice without any file stamps or verification. My due process has been violated. Does a notarized acknowledgement exist? Are my submitted exhibits part of the deliberative record? Is enforcement stayed pending this appeal? Are fire access standards applied uniformly in the Para Springs region? Closing. Members of the board, I have filed appeals, submitted exhibits, raised jurisdictional objections, requested records, relied on representations, halted construction in good faith, and I did have building permits. I am asking equal application of procedure, formal jurisdictional ruling, transparency in filing, a stay of enforcement pending appeal.
It's your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for the appellant? Pat?
Sorry, this is Pat Calder for the record. I have no questions.
Okay. Do we have any public comment?
Pardon me. I have Jim Schreck in Chambers.
Board members, thank you for your time. I wanted to thank the county for their time dealing with this matter also.
Please state your name for the record.
Pardon?
Please state your name for the record.
Okay. You can put it on?
Sure.
Okay. We're here 1 month from the 9th anniversary of John Belfort's declaration of homestead, in which he's...
Sir, would you mind stating your name for the record?
Oh, James Schreck.
Okay.
Thank you. We're 1 month from the 9th anniversary of John Belfort's declaration of homestead, in which he swore under notary seal that 300 Para Spring Road was his primary residence. This residence was and still is a travel trailer without a water source or septic system, not even the courtesy of a Santa hut. Tomorrow marks a year since his appeal for the same exact code violation in which he and his unlicensed legal advisor, Jeff Wilson, stormed out of this room with threats of lawsuits and going federal. Those threats were realized with multiple cases in small claims court, district court, and federal court, as well as over 200 slanderous YouTube videos and dozens of FOIA requests on anyone or anything remotely related to his claims. As I stated in my original complaint, John Belfort is using the system to his advantage. He claims his lack of legal knowledge as an excuse to waste the taxpayer dollar to bury the already strained court system and to defame all those who do not support his demands. Under the guidance of Jeff Wilson, who has exhausted the California court system with many of the same obscure claims John is pursuing, John will continue to file frivolous lawsuits until he faces some consequences. This case is simple. John is living on his parcel illegally, has been for 9 years with his waste going who knows where. All these lawsuits and hearings are merely stall tactics. If Washoe County codes and laws exist for the public good, it is well past time for this matter to be resolved. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Any further?
I have John Belfort in Chambers.
Okay.
Jonathan Belfort in Chambers.
Jonathan Belfort. I don't need a script for this one. I do dispose of my waste properly. I do pay for garbage removal. So that's a lie, okay? The definition of racketeering, 2 or more people engaging in illegal acts, and then followed by threats of violence or intimidation. Right there, Schreck Family Trust. Both of them
Sir,
have.
please address the board.
Both of them have cease and desist orders on them. The father has made, James Lee Schreck has made death threats to me, okay? My civil rights have been violated in this procedurally. I've distributed the documents to you, file stamp documents to you for your, they're on the record. They've already been filed online with Washoe County. This is, again, the numbers were off as far as as long as I've lived on the property. 2018, I was living on the property 6 months when these people tried to intimidate me by bulldozing my property. There's also a question of the DA's office not addressing any of our criminal allegations against these racketeers, including James Lee Schreck et al. There's already suits filed. My recommendation to this board is you abstain from any rulings. Just a suggestion. Until after some of this is shaken out. We've connected the dots. And a lot of this you've got Mr. Pierce presiding over my last hearing where my rights were violated. And he's one of the people that worked on this project next to me, where they've blocked the waterway and did countless hundreds of yards of unpermitted grading. We've FOIA'd it. We've sent it to the water board. We've sent it to Washoe County again and again and again, and they've run us around for this past year. This is still unresolved. That's located at 0 Para Springs. So there's some irregularities going on here. There really is. And I've acted in good faith with all of this. How soon we forget about the pandemic.
Thank you.
There is no further public comment in chambers, and on Zoom, there are no hands raised.
Okay. Can bring it back to the board for discussion. Rob, anything?
Yeah, I'd like to ask the applicant a question.
Yes, sir.
This is Rob for the record. You said that you do have the trash and the sewer removed. Do you have on your possession at this present time any receipts to prove?
No, but sir, I pay for trash.
Thank you.
And I remove it myself and put it in an approved septic system.
Thank you.
And it's one person and their dog. living on 105 acres. I just want my permits reinstated May 28th. And I think that these people are purposely trying to prevent me from ever building on that property for their own financial gain. And I believe there's county employees acting in the benefit of oneself or another.
Anything else, Rob?
No, sir.
Okay.
Good.
Pat, any comments or questions?
Yes, has the applicant applied for additional building permits?
Mr. Belford,
My extension.
would you come down, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I have. Her hearing officer, God, I'm forgetting her name. On the first hearing, Nancy Leader, she stated that I should obtain my building permits by February 28th, 2025. I attempted to contact Washoe County, and they didn't answer me. And then they simply came back with, oh, no, you have no more extensions. I'm telling you, this, with the stay of statutes, and then I completed $50,000 to $70,000 worth of work on my property. There was work completed in that time, which everyone has ignored. Maybe you folks aren't seeing the records. I was instructed to construct this huge, elaborate septic system at the cost of thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of labor. And no one, they just say, oh, no, you didn't do any work. That's been the attitude here. And if I can get my extensions, I will continue work on it. I mean, I think that the county needs to realize this has been going on almost 2 years now with all these appeals and the violations. I don't think their intention was to get me in compliance. I believe their intention was to prevent me from building because they don't want a little tiny cabin on 105 acres. They want a big subdivision on my 105 acres. And I believe this is purposely being done for the benefit of certain parties. And I'm just a victim of it here. I would like my permits reinstated. That's what I've been appealing about. And the implied thing that I am doing something wrong by making this public and filing lawsuits. I'm going through legal channels on this. I'm not taking self-help. I'm going through legal channels. That's what you're supposed to do. When I grew up, that's what I was taught that I was supposed to do, is do it the right way.
Okay, thank you. You've answered Mr. Caldwell's question.
No, I do actually, Mr. Belfort, this is Pat Holder for the record. I do have one question. Did you officially reapply for permits with Washoe County?
I didn't reapply. I was told that I was to apply. My answer to that was I shouldn't have to pay again.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your answer.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yeah, unfortunately, this is an administrative board. We are here for a very strict issue, and that's compliance with Code Section 110.306.35B. We can't speak for the building department, the code enforcement department. We have a strict zoning interpretation to make, and that's the only power we have. With that said, is anyone else? Anyone willing to make a motion?
Leo, I move that after giving reasoned consideration to the information contained in the staff report and information received during this public hearing, the Washoe County Board of Adjustment affirms the decision of the administrative hearing officer and upholds the violation of Washoe County Code 110.306.35B. Respondent shall have 25 days to remove the stored RVs and other items illegally stored on the vacant property. Chair of the Board of Adjustment is authorized to prepare a written order of the decision and file it with the Secretary of the Board of Adjustment, a copy of which shall be served to the appellant.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Kathy Jillian, for the record, I second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
If I could read the appeal
Please.
procedure. All right. The appellant has the right to appeal the written order by filing a petition for judicial review in the Second Judicial District Court for the state of Nevada within 25 days from the date the order is mailed to the appellant per Washoe County Code Section 110.910.15 sub I sub 6. When a petition for judicial review is filed, the court rules shall govern the proceeding. This judicial review is in lieu of an appeal to the Board of County Commissioners as authorized by NRS 278-310 sub C sub B.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our public hearing. Do we have any future agenda items? Anyone? Okay. Any requests for information from staff? None? Mr. Lloyd, any previous Board of Adjustment items to report on?
Nothing to report on at this time.
Okay. Any legal information or updates?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
There is no public comment in chambers or via Zoom.
Okay, thank you. The time is now 3:06. This meeting is adjourned.